Welcome to the August 10th, 2021 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and general welfare for all people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Dreese?
Here.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mayor Russell is absent.
All right, there's no presentations scheduled for this evening, so I'm going to move right into reports from volunteers. At this time, if there's any volunteers serving our community that would like to give a report or comment, please come forward. No one? Okay, and the next item on our agenda is public comments. The public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period of public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record. Anyone? Okay.
No, wait, got one.
Are you coming up? Okay, come forward. I wasn't sure if you were moving or...
I wasn't expecting to, but...
That's okay, just state your name and
Hi,
address.
I'm Krista Daly, 3 Prospect Ave, Pompton Plains. Been there for 20-some years with my awesome neighbors. So I've really kind of kept quiet on the whole parking issue on Prospect Ave because I wanted everyone else to have a chance to... You know, I'm kind of behind the scenes and I'd like to support my neighbors as much as I can. My question tonight would be, obviously, you know of the house fire that happened a few weeks ago on Prospect Ave. My husband's a captain in the department and we unfortunately were getting off a plane at that time, but my neighbors were texting me telling me what was happening. And we have a very narrow street. It's an old street on the north end. So it was always our concern what happens when there's parked cars on both sides and you only have a 10-foot maximum gateway to get through. So, you know, and that night it was difficult because the fire trucks did end up having to maneuver around cars. And from what I understand, I had to hit a little bit on the yards a little bit. And I don't know what's actually public and what's private, but it didn't matter. I'm just making the point that this is what we were always nervous about, that an emergency vehicle would have a tough time getting down the street. So I just wanted to ask if there was anything else that we could do as a neighborhood, anything that you may be thinking of doing, because this one really hit home, I think, for a lot of us, as far as the safety.
Okay.
That's my point. Like, that's what I worry about. So,
Go ahead. Did somebody want to say something?
Yeah, let me just ask you a question. Since, you know, we've been working this problem for a little while now, since the painting was done on Turnpike, have you seen any difference?
yeah, more cars to our street.
So it is pushing the cars more down the local streets.
Yeah.
Have you seen less people that we've been enforcing the seating policy, so they can only have X amount of people, even though they have indoor and outdoor now?
I would say no.
Okay.
No, and you'd be surprised how far people are willing to walk. Like, they're all the way down our street.
I mean, I feel like as a town, we're doing all we can. I think there are some discussions going on, like we keep saying, oh, it would be great if the restaurant worked out something with the church, let's say, and did valet parking. Whether those conversations are taking place, I don't know. I don't think that's our domain. But I think we've been doing everything we can. I don't know if Adam or Bob have anything to add to that.
Yeah, if I may, I mean, the good news is the fire truck got there.
Yeah.
So of all the stuff, the good news is the fire truck was able to get there. Just so everyone's aware too, the painting of the street, we didn't identify anything that was new that you couldn't park. It was just the areas where you never could park were then painted.
Right.
But people sometimes misperceive that, so I just want to make sure that's clear for the record. But yes, Prospect is a relatively narrow street. The linear solution to that is make Prospect a wider street. It's costly. It involves taking of people's front yards, which are actually in the municipal right-of-way. So it's something that's in the hopper and being reviewed internally with the staff. It hasn't come to the legislative body, but we are trying to come up with a continuum of solutions to the potential problems as we explore it. And we're trying to consider everything. We've reviewed striping in front of driveways. There are other towns that have actually painted boxes in front of people's driveways to create limits. One of the challenges there is all of a sudden people get creative with their own paint and the box gets a little bit bigger and bigger. So there are a number of things being reviewed, and we're going to progressively try to address it. And the good news is the fire truck got there.
The other, as I'm thinking, and I don't know if you were going to say anything about this also, so one of our neighbors who happens to be a town employee and he couldn't be here, he was very close to getting hit by a drunk driver on Friday night. So that was another one that really rattled us because I understand it can happen, but that's 2 times in 1 month that this has happened. We have a lot of little kids on our street, so it's just something that I just wanted you to be aware of.
No, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, people, whether they come from a local location or not, drive under the influence. We deal with it regularly.
I understand.
People run stop signs regularly. I have an individual that contacts my office on a repeated basis about people riding bicycles on sidewalks. If I had a magic wand of compliance, I would be doing really amazing things. Luckily, I'm serving the township, but unfortunately, this body can't stop a drunk driver.
I think before we go the route of expanding the road at the taxpayer's cost, I'd rather see permit parking.
Well, we're not, just to qualify my position, I was just sharing that there's lots of options being explored. That hasn't come to this body yet.
Okay.
That's just when we're looking at seeing what responses can be there.
Right.
I mean, I think the benefit now is it got hot, right? So when it's hot, there's less people sitting outside, which means there's slightly less cars.
I was there the night of the fire because I heard it over the police radio and I was like, oh boy. And one of the things that I did hear on the police radio was we might want to consider coming in off of the boulevard because of the known parking problems. But they were able to get down off of the turnpike. There wasn't many cars on the side street. It was a relatively light night, I think, as far as cars, but...
Problem is, you don't need too many cars with
Correct.
one of our rigs. I mean,
but, there was a ton of fire trucks there. Riverdale was there, Pumpkin Lakes was there, both of our departments were there. But, before we even, I will not entertain the fact that we're going to widen that street at the taxpayer's expense because of parking. I'll vote for, permanent parking.
Well, the challenge with permit parking is if you have people on both sides of the street, you have the same problem.
Right.
Then it's just picking, we like these people parking there as opposed to those people. So
But,
the solution at that point would be to say one side.
Yeah, one
Would be the
side,
less expensive
okay.
route before you
Yeah,
expanded the
right.
street. But if a street's too narrow, the simple and linear solution is to make a wide street.
Right.
Right. But that, no matter...
But it's never been a problem until people have started to park down all the side streets.
All the side streets.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about doing no parking on side streets, but then the issue is not only does it affect them at the restaurant, it affects you, whether you want to have people over for a Saturday afternoon barbecue, it's across the boards, no parking. So
Well, I mean, if we
you
do...
have to figure out what the next step's going to be.
If we do permit parking, and a resident on one of those streets decides they're going to have a party, they can come to town and we can give them some sort of special little piece of paper to put in the window for their guests, and that, that would be, permit parking, but, I'm not.
Again, with the challenge there is it doesn't actually alleviate the problem.
Right.
It just picks different people to be able to park.
Be able to park there. Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming
Okay,
forward.
well, I just want to let you know that we're still working on it as a group, too. Like, we offer each other's driveways and that kind of thing, and, if you're having friends over, feel free to park in my driveway, that kind of thing. So, we're a tight community, we're just looking for, to make the most of it.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Lorraine Mott, 6 Prospect Ave. So just to ask the question, are they being regulated as to how many people are there? Is there checks here and there?
Yes.
And is that public knowledge? Like, is there somewhere to read about that? No. Okay.
It's like any other zoning compliance factor for any business in town, which we
Yeah.
regularly engage in zoning compliance issues. The zoning officer checks, and this is a topic of discussion. So
Right,
it's not
yeah.
something that's-
So randomly it's happening where
Correct.
they're checking as to how many, what they're occupied.
And there was a point where they did have too many, and it was brought into compliance.
And it was brought into compliance. Okay. Okay, and then just one other thing about, I understand you were just putting that out there about possibly widening the street. I've quite often wanted to make signs that say Prospect Ave should not be Tavern 5's parking lot. So to accommodate it that way, to me, would be like almost helping to provide a parking lot for Tavern 5. And if you're going to have a successful business, it's wonderful, but we need them to maybe be part of the solution as well. I don't know what the behind-the-scenes things have been, but my saying in my head has always been Prospect Ave should not be Tavern 5's parking lot. So
Has anybody gone over there and had a conversation from the community group?
I personally have not. No, I don't think so. Not that I know of.
It's my understanding that the proprietors are aware of the issue. I know that staff has had conversations, just like you're saying, what creative solutions could be implemented, what thoughts do you have, are you
Yeah.
pursuing anything? We can have those conversations. As I mentioned at the first meeting, the challenge is just what we can compel and what we can discuss.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? Frank?
Frank Spizzeri, 35 West Franklin Avenue. I hate to add fuel to the fire, but my wife and I went past that place. First of all, I went into the parking lot, and they have 40 spaces in there, excluding where the tent is. Okay, so that's 40. So if there's 2 people in each car, that's 80 people. Okay, we counted 45 cars out on the streets, Prospect, Turnpike. That's another 80-some people. I don't know how many people are allowed in that place, but first of all, we let them have the tent because of COVID. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Why can't we tell them to take it down?
It's allowed through the end of 2021, based upon the action of the governing body.
Oh, so we have about 3 more months or 4 months that they have to put up with it.
Correct. Well,
And then it will
we
come...
have 3 or 4 months where there's a tent that's allowed. Whether or not it's directly related to the parking issue, I would opine that the parking issue existed before COVID, but I would leave that to the residents to further comment on.
Well, I know the young lady asked about how many people were occupancy. Is it more than 180?
No.
Okay. Then somebody's got to go there every time they open up and park all there and count the people, and if there's too many, they got to kick them out.
We've regularly inspected to confirm the number of seats, which is what's regulated is the number of seats. I appreciate the analogy of 1 car equals 2 people, but that may not be necessarily what the reality is, nor something that we can write a summons to.
Yeah, some might have 1, I'm not sure. I'm just saying that, looking at, and some may even have more than 2. Who knows?
Could be.
Okay, well, I just wondered why we couldn't take the tent down. Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
When is that extended through? The end December of 2021?
December 31, 2020.
I believe, though, by the end of November, they need to prove that the tent is structurally sound to withstand snow, and if it's not, then it's got to come down. So.
Down anyway.
Yeah, it's a construction code.
Okay, no one else? All right, there being no additional public comment, we will continue with the agenda, and we will go into the manager's report. Mr. Brewer?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Few items just to highlight for the meeting moving forward. Some things that are scheduled for the council's consideration. There's a grant application that the township would like to submit for additional funds for guardrail on Hillview Road, which is also known as Beaver Brook in Lincoln Park. As the council may be aware, the road was paved with a 2018 DOT grant, and we received $250,000 for the replacement of guardrail. There's a lot of guardrail, and working with Lincoln Park, it was determined that we need additional funds, so if the council feels appropriate to approve it later this evening, we would solicit an application for additional funds because we really enjoy doing projects with other people's money. The sale of Block 4606, Lot 2 is scheduled for authorization. This was the subject of an ordinance that was approved at the last council meeting. We did receive one bid in the minimum amount of $5,000 with the corresponding required $1,250 deposit. This evening we have scheduled the award of a valve maintenance trailer. Part of the water quality requirements is that we exercise a certain amount of valves in a certain time period. Component of the capital budget was an appropriation that exceeds the amount of the valve maintenance trailer for the purpose of buying it. We did receive a low bid in the amount of $73,868, which has been deemed responsible and responsive by Township Attorney. Director of Public Works has recommended it be awarded as well as I have as the Township Purchasing Agent. There's a resolution to amend a professional services agreement with H2M for the zoning ordinances. The master plan was adopted by the planning board in December of 2019. One of the top priorities after a new master plan is adopted by the planning board is the implementation of the legislative change, which is the zoning ordinances. A professional services agreement was issued to H2M for the preparation of those, but since that happened, we had the cannabis ordinance and a couple of other things happen. So this is an expansion in the amount of $2,850 to bring the total not to exceed to $33,850. For the council's and everyone's understanding, we anticipate a presentation in September of the team that was involved with that to address any questions the council may have before an ordinance is prepared for potential introduction. And then lastly, we have a number of resolutions scheduled tonight which we consider kind of financial management tasks, and I just kind of wanted to explain, when grants are expired or the project is completed, we work to cancel those balances, capital balances. If there's $50,000 authorized for the acquisition of a vehicle and it's $45,000, there's that balance that remains. So after a period of time, it's appropriate to proactively cancel that back to its source so that it can be used if it was something that came out of our cash capital program for a future budget in lieu of raising additional tax dollars. Additionally, the 2020 municipal audit was completed. There's the corrective action plan scheduled for the council's approval tonight. There were two findings in the audit, one related to the fixed asset inventory not having tags, and the other associated with the processing of deposits in the land use function. So both of those are articulated within the corrective action plan. If there's any questions on anything else or my report, I'd be happy to answer.
Anyone have any?
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, and tonight there are no public hearings scheduled for this evening, and we don't have any ordinances scheduled at this time. So we're going to go right into the resolutions for approval. Ms. Marsh?
Oh, boy.
Everybody comfortable?
Get comfortable.
All right, beginning with the council's consideration this evening, beginning with Resolution R 2021-172, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Hillview Guide Rail Upgrade 0066 project. 2021-173, authorizing a grant agreement with Morris County for a 2021 Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant for the Martinberry House rehabilitation. 2021-174, authorizing a grant agreement with Morris County for a 2021 Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant for the Pompton Plains Railroad Station preservation plans. 2021-175, awarding a contract for the valve maintenance trailer to Hudson Machinery LLC for the total contract amount of $73,868 in accordance with the request for proposals. 176, authorizing an amendment to a professional services agreement between the Township of Pequannock and H2M Associates Incorporated to revise ordinances related to the 2019 master plan. 177, canceling grant fund balances. 178, canceling unexpended general capital appropriation balances. 179, canceling unexpended water capital appropriation balances. 180, authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks. R 2021-181, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the 2021 budget pursuant to NJSA 40A 487. 2021-182, approving the corrective action plan for the 2020 municipal audit. 183, approving the designated special event permit, that's for American Legion Post 242 car show. 2021-184, confirming the sale of public property no longer needed for public use, located at Block 4606, Lot 2, which is Willow Avenue, in the Township of Pequannock. 185, authorizing the reinstatement of a special sewer assessment payment plan for One Winding Way. 186, authorizing the reinstatement of a special sewer assessment payment plan for 17 Brookside. 187, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. R 2021-188, authorizing release of designated escrow deposits. And R 2021-189, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the August 6, 2021 bill list.
Thank you. That was a long one.
Adam's been very busy.
Yes, he has. Any comments from council on any of the resolutions?
Just a really quick question, Adam. R 2021-175, that valve maintenance trailer.
Yes.
Do we not have a maintenance trailer now? Is this something new, a new requirement, or?
We do not have a valve maintenance exercise piece of machinery now. Based upon the new requirements of the legislation for maintenance of water systems, we have to exercise a certain percentage of valves every year.
Got it.
So
Okay.
this is consistent with that requirement to be able to do it without manually doing all the valves.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted clarity. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2021-172 through R 2021-189.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dreese?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes. Okay. We have no items for discussion tonight. And next on the agenda is reports and notices. Are there any comments or questions from the council? I believe we had one notice.
No.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is council reports and announcements. And I start with Councilman DeRisi.
Say nothing? I'm gonna say nothing.
You have nothing. You have nothing.
How's that, good?
Very good. Councilman Hurd.
All right, thank you, Mayor, or Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry.
That's it.
Went back a bunch of years there. Just very quick, First Aid Squad had 77 calls the month of July. Something that was really interesting is, to give you an idea, we're now, through July, going into August, but to give you an idea, January had 70 calls, February had 56, March 62, April 89, May 54, June 80, now July 77. So, there is kind of a consistency there, but I'm glad that it's, relatively low, which is always a good thing. Next, I do want everybody to know that there is a fundraising concert, which is going to be country, Saturday, August 14th. Food trucks are on site, will be on site starting at 2. Concert starts at 7. Tickets are $20. And this is the most important point I have to get across. Unlimited beer available for an additional cost of $15. So, just in case you were wondering, I hope everybody does stop by. $20 for the concert is pretty good. And hey, it's a great way to hang out and enjoy your fellow Pequannock people. There you go. That's all. Thank you.
It's going to be right in the back here.
Yeah.
If that's
Right
where
by
you're at.
First Aid Squad, behind Municipal Building.
That should be good. Councilman Cole.
I just want to say that there is going to be a Paul McDivitt Memorial Charity Cornhole Tournament September 4th. Rain date September 5th. That's going to be at the American Legion Post 450, 11 Oak Ave in Pequannock. Check-in is 12 o'clock. Bags fly at 1. Cost per team is $100 per team. They're trying to get 50 teams. There are other sponsorships available. This is a young gentleman that recently passed away, was a Marine, passed away unexpectedly in town. So all the money will go towards to his wife and 3 sons that he left behind. I'd like to congratulate all the Pequannock All-Star softball and baseball teams that played this year. They did a great job representing Pequannock. As far as the fire departments, July was a busy month for both Company 1 and Company 2. 2 house fires, one on Greenview and one on Prospect. It's not often that we get a house fire in town, thank God, but in July there was 2, unfortunately, so they were both very busy. Company 1 reported that the new nozzles are in and working fine. In June, they had 21 calls for Company 1. For Company 2, they informed me they are having a cornhole tournament. Date to be announced, probably somewhere at the end of October. Seems like cornhole is the new fundraiser. They are also having Company 2 is also having a picnic at Company 2 on August 21st at 1:30 for all of their members, and they wanted me to extend the invitation to all of council. So that's August 21st at Company 2 at 1:30. Council is invited.
Okay.
And that's all I have. I will be, unfortunately, I will not be able to make the First Aid Squad. I'm leaving tonight for Maine after the council meeting. But I sent a check for a donation for the couple tickets, so.
Okay, great. Thanks. I just wanted to say welcome to our newest council member, John DeRisi. We're glad to have you, and if you don't know, John replaces Rich Phelan, who recently resigned, and we thank Rich for his many years of service to our community. A couple of things. The Senior Advisory Committee I had filled in since, that was actually Rich's, but I've been going to their meeting, just filling in. I know I might have mentioned this to you, Adam. I just want to make sure, I guess we're working on getting new tables for them. And at some point, if it hasn't been discussed yet, they are going to need some chairs because a lot of their chairs are broken. And I know they had bingo the other night and they had 35 people and they barely had enough chairs. So that's something we have to kind of look at. What else? Flood Committee, our July meeting was canceled, but the next scheduled Flood Committee meeting is supposed to be August 12th. So I sent out an email to the chair to see if we are meeting, because I did not see an email go out. The Economic Development Committee, most of my committees did not meet in the summer. I know there's a couple of new businesses that opened up in town, and I know that the committee has reached out to some of the businesses to see if they're going to have any big grand openings, but I haven't had confirmation on any yet. I was also going to mention the First Aid Squad is having its fundraiser this Saturday, starting at 2. What is it? 2 to 9 is the whole day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And my Parks and Rec Advisory Committee also did not meet this month, so I really have nothing else. So that's it. Okay. Let's see. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, wait to be recognized and come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record. Anyone? Yes. Forward.
Good evening, Megan Dempsey, 10 Della Avenue in Pompton Plains. I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, or the June meeting, so I just wanted to say welcome to Mr. Dreesy, Councilman Dreesy. Hope it goes well for you. It seems like they've been pretty easy on you for the first few weeks, so that's a good start. And again, to just state my thanks to Mr. Phelan for the service he did to our town. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, next on the agenda is approval of minutes. I believe we have two from the June 22nd meeting and the July 13th meeting. So, did anyone have comments on the minutes?
No.
And can we vote on that? We have enough people?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve June 22nd and July 13th.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstaining?
Abstaining, I guess me. I wasn't here.
You weren't here.
But now you are.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we do have items for closed session tonight. Should I read them all off? Okay. So we're going to be, well, first I need a motion to approve Resolution 2021-190, authorizing the Township Council to meet in executive session to discuss contract negotiations with Teamsters Local Union 469. We have contract negotiations regarding a sewer agreement with Cedar Crest, matters of attorney-client privilege, and the litigation of Levine versus Township of Pequannock, right? So, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, at this time, the public portion